the intent, implementation, and impact of a unit of work for a Year 4 class on collage in art and design. In this presentation, I will discuss the context for why and how we teach art and design, the inspiration for this unit, the intent and implementation of this medium-term plan, including 3 critical decisions that were made during planning and any misconceptions that may arise, and finally, the expected impact of this unit of work on the pupils. According to recent research from the Fabian Society, art education is in dramatic decline as core subjects dominate the already crowded curriculum. And Hickman notes in his Aims of Art Education the provision for the training of specialist art teachers has gradually been eroded due to underfunding. However, there is overwhelming evidence that the teaching of art and design is vital for improving, to name just a few, imagination, creativity, resilience, reflection, and individuality amongst pupils. A recent Ofsted research review further emphasises the importance of high-quality art education that can enable pupils to understand, appreciate, and contribute to a dimension of life that taps into and expresses human innovation, imagination, and thought. The review explores factors that contribute to high-quality art education and references 3 domains of knowledge, including practical knowledge, which is developing technical proficiency, theoretical knowledge, which is the cultural and contextual content that pupils learn about artists and artwork, and disciplinary knowledge, which is what pupils learn about how art is studied. I therefore tried to incorporate progress in each of these domains whilst planning this unit. The Ofsted Research Review gives practical advice towards the teaching of art. It states that pupils need many opportunities to practice, receive feedback, and revisit previous knowledge. This is in line with Rosenshine's Principles of Education, which place emphasis on the importance of the role of the teacher in incorporating retrieval practice and breaking learning down into manageable steps. And Cole et al. Suggest that great teaching also relies on content knowledge, quality of instruction, and a calm classroom climate. Lindstrom notes the 4 ways of learning: learning about, learning in, learning with, and learning through art. The end goal is achieved through both convergent and divergent learning. Convergent learning is goal-oriented and focused, while divergent learning is open-ended and self-exploratory, and both are necessary in the successful teaching of art. I tried to incorporate this research by giving plenty of opportunity for experimental tasks whilst working towards a final product that shows progression. The inspiration for this unit of work is colour. I chose colour because all children in Year 4 should have a solid understanding of colour and colour mixing, as is laid out in the national curriculum. However, I wanted to challenge the pupils to reimagine the way they think about colour, how to use it, and the impact of colour in their work. The process in this unit of work is collage with a focus on colour, and its intent was taken from the national curriculum's aims to improve pupils' mastery of art and design techniques using a range of materials and to learn about great artists and history. The NSEAD's Planning and Assessment Framework defines 4 distinct progress objectives, which I used whilst planning this unit on collage. 1. Generating ideas. 2. Making. 3. Evaluating. 4. Knowledge of both technical skills and cultural context. I wanted to give the children plenty of opportunities for idea generation, exposure to different artists, time to experiment and make their collages, and a chance to evaluate their work, which would ultimately give them a solid understanding of the process of collage, incorporating both substantive and disciplinary knowledge. During this unit, I want to ensure that the children make meaningful connections between the activities they do, the outcomes, and assessment, which is something I have taken from the lecture. I therefore carefully planned relevant activities and how I would assess them to achieve progression. The concepts that will be covered in this unit are understanding that collage is a style of art where different materials are assembled and fixed to a surface to create a new whole. Pupils should understand how to use texture and shape and the importance of composition. They should learn the importance of colour and contrast. They will learn about the different types of collage, including 3D, photography, montage, and paint. They will do so by being exposed to a range of artists. The skills that will be introduced are understanding the expertise of collage lie in choosing, arranging, and affixing the chosen materials, being able to use a range of materials such as paper, fabric, card, natural materials, photographs, and recycled objects, to select tools and techniques to join and manipulate materials such as gluing, cutting, covering, tying, and bending. Being able to identify different aspects of colour, including hue, value, intensity, tone, and temperature. Being able to evaluate and critique their own work, the work of famous artists and their peers, using specific artistic vocabulary. The core content framework stresses the importance of inclusive teaching in all subjects, but highlights that art and design lends itself more easily to adaptive lessons. In art, we teach to individual needs and adapt the amount and type of support for pupils. In this unit, I have planned alterations and considerations for children that need extra support, as well as for children who need extensions. I intend to create an inclusive classroom environment that enables all children to access the learning. The misconceptions that could arise in this unit are that the children believe that all their collages must look the same and that there is a correct way to do things. I do not want the children to be limited in the materials that they choose or the composition of their work. I intend to reassure the children that mistakes are welcome and to remind them of the words of Eisner, who said, "There can be more than one answer to a question and more than one solution to a problem. Variability of outcome is okay." I therefore incorporated this into one of the key critical pedagogical decisions I made whilst planning. I want the children to be responsible for their own artistic decisions and appreciations of art. I want to encourage them to develop their own style by deciding what they like or dislike and justify their artistic choices to give them more ownership of their work. I would encourage this by emphasising diversity of outcome. The second critical decision I would employ would be to include group work. I want the children to be able to work collaboratively and engage in useful discussion and mutual problem solving, a key social constructivist approach to learning. The third decision would be to allow the children a lot of time for experimentation and practicing skills before creating their final piece. I have planned several activities that allow the children to explore materials, textures, objects, and colours and how to manipulate and use them. This is linked to one of the key aspects of teaching from Cole et al.'s research, which is allowing children adequate time for practice to embed skills securely. The intended impact of this unit of work will be evaluated through ongoing assessment, where the children can discuss what they find challenging or what they are enjoying. This is one of the key attainment targets in the national curriculum and will provide an opportunity for formative assessment. Peer assessment is also mentioned by Cole et al. As a useful assessment tool for teachers and is key in boosting confidence. Teachers should observe the children as they are creating, as this will give invaluable insight into how they have interpreted the teaching. Clement notes that because you can observe the child in the act of making art, it is easier for you to enter into supportive dialogue. The children should be able to use key artistic vocabulary. This can be achieved by effective modelling by the teacher. Hickman notes the importance of children using appropriate vocabulary. In order to be able to talk and write about their own work and that of other artists, children will need to learn to use an appropriate art vocabulary. It is important to note that assessment in art is challenging due to subjectivity and fixed ideas about outcomes, but a key aspect is planning for progression, which ultimately depends on awareness of the needs of the individual child and if there are any barriers to learning. These barriers need to be taken into account, and each child should be valued for their individual response with a focus on positivity. I refer back to the key pedagogical decision I made about there being no one way to achieve success. I refer to a quote here from Oja: "Assessment should never be seen as the outcome alone, because that is not evidence to validate the learning that has occurred." Ultimately, I would hope that the impact of the unit of work is that the children gain a disciplinary knowledge of the technique of collage and a substantive knowledge of famous collage artists from Picasso to Gaudi. By the end of the unit, all children should have produced a final collage that shows progression, understand what collage is, different forms of collage and how to use colour within collage, use subject-specific language to describe colour, critique and reflect upon artists' work and their own using appropriate artistic vocabulary. Art and design as a subject is unique in that, unlike some other subjects, it encourages pupils' individuality through creativity. Froebel said, "To learn a thing in life through doing is much more developing, cultivating and strengthening than to learn it merely through the verbal communication of ideas," which is very relevant to art and design. And Eisner writes, There is so much in our schools that pushes for uniformity of response that one of the important contributions that art education can make to students is to help them become aware of their own individuality. The role of the teacher is crucial in this unit in creating a calm and inclusive environment, modelling the use of artistic vocabulary successfully, and providing opportunities for discussion and self-assessment. The teacher should also promote a love of learning art through enthusiastic and supportive teaching so that every child can achieve. I hope that by giving children reassurance that there are no right or wrong answers, group work to share ideas and boost confidence, as well as plenty of opportunities and time for experimentation, progress can be achieved, substantive and disciplinary knowledge gained, as well as an improvement to the child's emotional well-being. Thank you.